Alright, so as soon as you enter Telma's bar, now that light has been restored to the Lanayru province, you'll immediately see a lengthy movie. Dr. Borville is just leaving, but notice that the good doctor squishes when he walks. Anyway, he's complaining that he can't treat the Zora child because his expertise do not lie there, and he bumps into Link on his way out the door. Next you'll see Illia chasing after the doctor, insistent that he must have some way to help. After giving up, she glances at Link for a moment before returning to the middle of the room. Link, tries to stop her, but he doesn't say anything. No surprise there. Illia will return to where the Zora child, Prince Ralis, is lying on the table. Remember in the last chapter that Queen Rutella asked us to help her son, and that she would reward us with an item that would allow us to enter the next temple. Since that is our next objective, we don't really have much of a choice. Illia looks quite put out and puts her head in her hands, and after a moment of thinking, Telma will mention that the doctor reminded her of Renato, who lives in the Kakariko village, has experience treating both Gorons and Zoras. Illia will then get excited at the possibility, but will quickly be put down by the Hylian soldiers who are still in the room. The captain explains that it's much too dangerous to go alone, but they can't leave a damsel in distress either, so they offer to escort her to Kakariko village. After their manpower cheer, then Telma will agree with what the captain said and mention that there are tons of monsters infesting the fields along the way, causing all the soldiers to stop cheering. As the two women glance back, they see that there's only one soldier left, who jumps once he realizes that he's the only one, and swiftly makes his escape. Telma will scowl at him and then yells after all of them to never show their cowardly faces in her bar ever again. She then notices Link is still there and mentions that he's the one swordsman left. Link stares back at a loss for words, so Telma goes on to assume that he will escort them. This works out for us, but kind of odd that they were recruited without even saying anything. Not that Link ever says anything to begin with. After telling Illia to go get ready, Telma will come over and explain that she sees how Link recognizes the girl. She goes on to say that Illia doesn't remember anything, even her own name, which would explain why she doesn't recognize Link. Apparently, she somehow got away from King Bulblin and wandered her way to Castletown, where she found Prince Ralis dying. She brought him to the clinic and finally to Telma's bar. This explains the scent trail that we followed as a wolf. Telma makes the comparison to the soldiers by saying Illia has more courage than all the soldiers in Hyrule. She goes on to say that you should support Illia by lending her your strength. You then see this little scene in which Telma's cat, Louise, is rubbing up against her leg. This character actually comes into play later in the game, so just make note of the fact that the cat is watching you. Next, the scene will change to just outside in Hyrule Field, in the ruined theater area near the entrance to Castletown. Telma is explaining that because the bridge of Eldin is out, the only option is to go across the Great Bridge of Hylia. Unfortunately, King Bulblin is patrolling that area right now, so we'll have to fight our way through. Notice that one of King Bulblin's horns is actually broken off, the chunk at the end of it. Every time you fight him, he loses a chunk of his horns until there's not much left of them. Silly little addition, but it's fun little feature to see it change over the course of the game. Telma mentions that in order to cross the Great Bridge, you're going to have to fight King Bulblin once again. He's not much of a problem, though we will have to fight him a little bit differently this time. With that, the screen will then move over and we'll see that Telma is driving a cart with Link alongside riding Epona. As it zooms in, Illia will thank you for helping them and ask you your name. Apparently this is one of those hidden times when Link actually speaks, but they don't show it. After hearing your name, then she perks up for a moment, but it turns out she doesn't really recognize you after all. Lame. Don't feel too bad, because regaining Illia's memory becomes important later on in the game. Telma tells Illia to save her thanks until after they safely reach Kakariko village, then goes on to say that Link has the eyes of a proud feral beast, so they will definitely be safe with him guarding them. She once again mentions protecting them against monsters, and then winks at Link for some final encouragement, which causes Link to smile back weakly. Winks at Link, that's quite the tongue twister there. Try it. With the movie finally over, Telma will then say that you are escorting them to Kakariko village. I assume they have this chunk of text in here in case you skip over the movie, so you still have some point of reference as to what the heck we're doing. You want to simply run forward on Epona until you get to the Great Bridge of Hylia. You can follow along with the cart if you want, but regardless, the next movie will start whenever you reach the next bridge, so whether you take a long time or you just rush ahead, it makes no difference. Once you finally get there, it'll start another long scene in which first it shows Link and Telma, and then it will pan really far forward, and you'll see that there is King Bulblin, who now has shields on either side of his arms. He gestures to show them off, so now we will not be able to smack him with our sword, so we'll have to use a different method to defeat him. Telma will then mention that it's your turn, and that they're both counting on you. So Link will rush forward, and another horseback battle will then start. This time we are forced to use an alternative weapon, and you can try using your sword if you like, but you'll quickly find that you can't harm him using that method. So here I'm just going to show it. I didn't actually hit him with my sword doing this, but once you get over to the other side, you want to turn around, and we're going to have to use the hero's bow to shoot him. So his middle is certainly not protected, so here you might not want to rush forward. I'm just letting Epona go forward slowly. I'm going to hit him twice, and once you have done so, then Lord Bulbo will bonk into the side, and it will cause Lord Bulblin, or King Bulblin, to fall down into the lake below. Blah! He will then conveniently drop the gate key, which falls into Link's hands. How quaint. With this key, we'll be able to open all of the big Bulblin gates along the way to Kargoroks Village. These are the same ones we had to jump over using Epona, or we can dig under them as a wolf. Now we'll be able to open them all, and this will allow us to complete this escort quest. Telma will approach and tell you to keep up the good work, and now the harder part begins. Once you regain control of Link, you want to run forward on Epona and shoot all the Bulblin archers that are up ahead on the ledges. You want to keep Epona moving if you can, and continue to fire at them. It can be quite difficult to shoot them while riding, but try your best. If you can ride over the arrows that get stuck in the ground, you'll actually get a stack of 15 arrows. I'm not really sure how that works, or why they would give you that many. Maybe they are really bad at shooting. They just grab a whole handful and shoot them at once. But anyway, they are shooting fire arrows, and so if any of them do hit the wagon, it's not the end of the world, because you can simply use the Gale Boomerang to put out the flames. So continue to shoot the Bulblin archers along the way, but it doesn't really matter. You can actually not shoot them at all, and you can just focus only on the wagon. So like this, for example, you want to chase after the wagon and use the Gale Boomerang to put out the flames by Z-targeting it, and then simply using your item button. Up ahead, you'll come to a gate. You want to jump off Epona and then quickly use your gate key to open the gate, and this will allow the wagon to go through. You're going to quickly chase after the wagon before it gets too far ahead. And once again, you can jump on Epona from behind to get a running start. So if you fall off your horse here at any point, you can just come after, or get up to them real quick by jumping on Epona from behind. You'll get a head start to chase after them. In this big area, there are two things you need to watch out for. There are more Bulblin riders that shoot fire arrows and such, and they will put the wagon aflame, but you want to abandon them as soon as you see a Kargorok. These Kargoroks have bombs in their talons, so they're pretty smart. I don't know if they're working for the Bulblins, I guess so. I didn't see anybody riding that one, but anyway, you can use your hero's bow to shoot the Kargoroks, or you can use the Gale Boomerang. Either one will work fine, but I like to keep the Boomerang out in case the wagon catches on fire, so that way I can put it out. With that, you want to continue working your way forward, killing any Bulblin riders that get in your way. All the ones that get in your path, you want to quickly smash them with your sword. So once you make it into this final area, you want to continue killing Bulblin riders if you have not defeated them yet. But just make sure you abandon them once you get up to this point where the bridge is at, to defeat the Kargorok before it can attack the wagon. So once you make it past here, you want to continue killing all the Bulblin riders. If there's any left, I actually already killed them all. And once you finally get to the gate, you want to get off Epona and use the gate key to open the final gate and allow them to pass through. This will bring you all the way to Kargoroks Village. So congratulations, that is the end of this escort quest. So get up back on Epona and head into Kargoroks Village. So that is all the time I have for this video. Join me for the next one, and we'll see just what happens once we get there.